Good afternoon, members. My name is Myndee Reed. I'm with the Kansas Livestock Association, and I am here today to tell you what's going on or has been going on in the legislature this past week. A few things that we've been looking at, one of which is, I think, of importance to our members would be House Bill 2051. This bill actually has the effect of exempting certain dams from the jurisdiction of the Division of Water Resources. If anyone has been in the position of needing to get a permit for a CAFO from KDHE, you've also experienced the situation of having to have the Division of Water Resources approve the permit or give you a second permit, basically, because of the statute that requires that for dams. So we're looking at that. We have testified about that issue and are hoping that we can work with the Department of Agriculture and with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment to make that an easier situation for our members who find themselves needing to have a permit from both places. Another issue that has been a hot topic for this legislative session has actually been the prairie dog issue, and there was a Senate resolution proposed 1711 was actually passed with some amendments. The issue there is that the federal United States Department of Health or Department of Wildlife and Parks is wanting to introduce or reintroduce black-footed ferret into certain areas. The black-footed ferret is an endangered species, and what is happening is that because one of the food sources for the black-footed ferret is the prairie dog, they have seen Kansas as a state that would be in their opinion, a good place to reintroduce the black-footed ferret. Of course, anyone that knows much about prairie dogs realizes how big of a pest they can be and how detrimental to the land it is to have uncontrolled prairie dogs on the land. And so this resolution that went through today, or was passed out of committee, actually provided just some support for landowners who are concerned about the issue of the prairie dogs. Immigration was on the front burner this last week. There were no pro-immigration bills that were introduced or any immigration bills introduced on behalf of the business coalition that we have been working with. However, there was testimony provided. Secretary of State Kobach was allowed to provide some testimony regarding some fairly stringent immigration bills that he would like passed, what we refer to as the Arizona-style bills, which essentially are the show me your paper bills, show us your papers, really kind of beefing up the enforcement for immigration purposes in Kansas. We had an opportunity to testify, or the coalition had an opportunity to testify regarding the economic impact that those bills have had, or similar statutes and bills have had in the state of Arizona and other states that have actually adopted those. So that was an interesting session. We will be providing testimony on a nuisance statute that was introduced by the Kansas Department of Agriculture, and we're excited about that. That actually provides some benefits to our members in terms of better limiting the damages in a nuisance claim, as well as better defining when a nuisance can and can't be abated. And that's something that we are looking forward to testifying for on behalf of our members next week. Finally, the Kansas Restraint of Trade Act is going to be front and center. Those hearings will be taking place next week, next Wednesday and Thursday. Those are important to our members, and it's a fairly complicated issue, but there was a Supreme Court opinion that came down, a Kansas Supreme Court opinion that came down last year, which really changed the landscape of the law, and we have concerns that that could hurt our members, as do a lot of other ag industries. And so we've been working closely with them in an attempt to introduce legislation that will assist us with those issues.